Yo, what's going on, Los Angeles? What is up, and welcome to the Rams Skinny here on the LAFB Network. Happy to be with you, as always, talking all things Rams football. Joined, as always, by my better half. Fresh new haircut here in the Southland. It's a heat wave, and he's got the nice wave. I don't know where I was going with that, but nice haircut. So, Skinny T, what's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Yeah, the heat is back. It is 100% t-shirt time here in Southern California. So I'm glad the sun's back. You know me. We don't need to talk weather long, but I'm happy it's back. Even though I had all sorts of work in the backyard to do over the weekend, I'm glad it's back.
Yeah, I can't believe you did that this weekend. But I mean, I guess that's how it's going to be every weekend. So you can't just like, oh, I'll wait for a cool weekend because it's going to be hot the rest of the way now. So, yeah, I was able to get to the beach. It was hot at the beach still. I mean, it's hot when the beach is hot because usually the beach is like, I remember times going to the beach and being like, oh, it's kind of like cold here because, it's like 70s and a little breezy. But it was like mid 80s at the beach. So that's when it's hot when the beach is that hot. So, yeah. That'll be the end of our weather talk. Nice and quick in this episode of the Rams Skinny. Today, we're going to talk one Pro Football Talk, Mike Florio, every Rams fan's favorite journalist, content creator, whatever you want to call him, came out with his pre-training camp power rankings. We'll talk about where the Rams sit, fair, foul, makes sense, out of the realm of possibility. We'll talk about that. And then secondly, came in a little while ago. We did an article about it, or I should say Skinny T did an article about it, but Sean McVay put to rest any rumors of nearby retirement. Basically said, essentially, I'm not quoting, but basically said he was out of his mind for even contemplating it 2 years ago, and that he is all in back and excited. So we'll talk about like what that really means, how long that could actually be, and what the Rams need to do to ensure that he is here for the long haul and does not hang them up shortly after Stafford and Kupp does. So that's what's on the docket for today. Show, as always, brought to you by our friends at BetOnline. Head to betonline.ag today. Plenty of stuff to bet on, although as the time of this recording, we are in the first intermission of Game 7 of hockey. So by the time you listen to this, you will not be able to bet on hockey anymore. It'll be over. There'll be a Stanley Cup champion. It's 1-1 right now. Who are you taking? Who, if you were on BetOnline right now, Skinny T, Panthers, Oilers, who are you taking?
I always bet on red, man. So I'm betting on Canada. Wave that red
well,
and
the
white
Panthers
flag.
have red jerseys, so
I know. I noticed that when it came out of my mouth. But I'm rooting for Canada. It's been far too long since the inventors of the game of hockey, the beautiful game of hockey, have had a Stanley Cup champion. And Connor McDavid. Everybody says he's one of the best of all time. I got to root for a guy like that. Although I do like, as we talked about, Matthew Tkachuk, which is a great hockey name. This is the sound of a hockey stick hitting the ice and a puck at the same time. Anyway, yeah, I'm rooting for Edmonton in this one.
Yeah, Tkachuk is a great hockey family as well. A lot of lineage there. But, I always am pro-America. Always will root the American team if they're going up against any other country, regardless who it is. But I think I'm with you, more so for the storyline that Edmonton was down 0-3, which this would be the first time ever in Stanley Cup history, and I believe the first time in any championship series. I know like the Yankees did against the Red Sox in the American League Championship, but first like total sports series, a team has been down 0-3 with a chance to come back and win. So I think I'm rooting for that storyline there. But man, if you're a Panthers fan, that would be absolutely heartbreaking. They were, and I know you don't follow hockey ton, they were in the Cup last year. They lost to Vegas last year. So in the Cup back-to-back years, lose one year. It was pretty dominant. Vegas won 4-1. Come back the next year, up 3-0. But anyway, as of right now, it's tied 1-1. By the time you're on BetOnline tomorrow, you won't be able to bet on it. So, but plenty of baseball. Dodgers are a good bet as always. And obviously those football futures. Stafford for MVP. That was, I believe that was your bold take last episode. So put your money on that. And Rams Super Bowl odds, all that can be found at betonline.ag. Tell them the guys at the Rams Skinny sent you. All right, let's jump into it. So Pro Football Talk, not Pro Football Focus, not Pro Football Network, Pro Football Talk, or Mike Florio, as many know who runs the account of NBC, came out with his power rankings, his pre-training camp power rankings, and has the Rams I've been talking very slowly to draw it out for suspense. Has them at 13th power ranked total in the NFL, 6th overall in the NFC. I will read these very quickly. Maybe I'll put the graphic up on the screen. Well, here, we can do it. We got good old technology here. Let me just share my screen here. How about that?
Beautiful.
That makes life easy. So there we go. But I'll just read it really quickly for those listening on Apple or Spotify. Chiefs 1, Niners 2, Lions 3, Ravens 4, Eagles 5, Packers 6, Bills 7, Bengals 8, Buccaneers 9, Texans 10, Dolphins 11, Browns 12, and the Rams at 13. So at first glance, Skinny T, we're going to get into it. What say you of the Rams being power ranked at 13 on June 24th?
I think it's pretty close to where I would put them. Now, there's a few teams above them that I disagree with.
Yep.
But I think they're kind of in this range. I think this is pretty correct. I'd bump them up ahead of the Browns just because the Browns haven't been able to put it all together. We don't know what Nick Chubb is going to look like, but that's kind of getting into a little bit of mincing. I don't think the Dolphins really got that much better. I think these two offenses, the Dolphins offense and the Rams offense, might actually be two of the most high-powered offenses heading into this year.
Yep.
So, I think fairly fair, but you got to quibble around exactly who the teams are ahead of them.
Yeah, I agree. As it stands right now in June, that kind of 11 to 14 range, I think, is pretty fair for the Rams. I think 5 to 7 in the NFC. I think they're a playoff team, absolutely, but they're, it's going to be tough battle for the divisional crown. Not saying they can't do it, but as it is in June, we're talking a long ways away here. I think that seems fair. Again, you alluded to some. Packers for me are too high. I know Jordan Love looks like the next great thing. Matt LaFleur, another great coach. They've got some nice pieces there. I just need to see more of it at a consistent level now into a new year. Now, the end of the year, great. Went to the playoffs, won a playoff game. So I'm not saying that, but it's a whole new year. There's tape on him now. Let's see him be like Brock Purdy was last year, right? Like played a little bit and then went into last year. Everyone had those questions. And guess what? The kid kind of proved he could carry the team. Like whether he's a leader or not, that's a whole nother conversation, but the Niners made it back to the Super Bowl. And a lot of that was thanks to Brock Purdy. Is Jordan Love there yet where he's ready with all the film on him to be there? I want to see it first. I'm not putting them 6th total yet. And I wouldn't put them above the Rams just because of Stafford, my respect for him. And the other one for me is the Buccaneers. I love me some Tampa Bay Field, but I don't know if I'd put them at 9. That seems a little that like what I'm trying to think of what they've done this offseason that would
not a lot.
That.
I mean, they re-signed Mike Evans. I think that was a big contract for them.
Yeah.
I honestly couldn't tell you what their draft class is off the top of my head. I'll take a peek at that. But yeah, I mean, can we change the name? Is it Baker Bay? Is that what this will be now instead of Tampa Bay?
Well, that's why I called it Tampa Bay Field.
Oh, nice. I didn't notice that. Sorry, I didn't catch on to that.
So instead of Tampa Bay, we got Tampa Bay Field,
I love it. That's the one.
I think I said Tampa Bay Field, so it threw it off. I was mixing them together.
Yeah, that's the big one where it's just clear and obvious. I mean, I think you could have the conversation about the Packers, and they're a young and exciting team, but there are so many players on that roster that have to prove that they can do it consistently. Even Christian Watson, he had an inconsistent year and started to flash, but there's all sorts that entire receiving core. What's this defense? I mean, they had Josh Jacobs, which is fun and interesting, but
yeah,
I don't know. They're betting a lot on Jordan Love looking exactly like he did last year, and we've seen like with a guy like number 5 there, the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, that it doesn't. The repeat isn't always there. Progression isn't linear. That's a case in point right there. So,
yeah. Texans another example of that.
Yeah, they're one of those candidates where they won the offseason, but we've seen so many teams that have won the offseason that come back, when the season actually happens, when games are actually played, where they're just not as not as fiery and as powerful as they expected to be heading into the season.
Yeah. Yeah. I would be at this point though. Still, I think 10's a good spot for the Texans just because what they did adding Stephon Diggs, having a good draft, rookie of the year, you got to prove it again, similar to what I think with Jordan Love. But yeah, it's not like he's putting him second there. So yeah.
Are there any NFC teams that are below that you think could or should creep ahead? Cowboys are oddly low at 16, Bears at 17, and Falcons at 19 with Kirk Cousins there.
Yeah, those are the three that are interesting. I wouldn't have any of those three necessarily above the Rams, but I would probably have them higher than I don't know. The Cowboys are just so weird, right? Like they always seem like they're going to be good. You never know. Like how good is Dak? Cowboys don't know. The Bears, just like we've talked about with the Packers, with the Texans, with all these other teams, like they have to prove it. Rookie quarterback and Caleb Williams, a lot of new pieces in that offense overall. When you look at Rome Odunze and Keenan Allen, and DJ Swift, right? Who they added, DeAndre. Now I'm mixing his first name up, but Swift they added in the backfield, right? And then some pieces on defense. So on paper, they seem way higher than 17. I couldn't power rank them higher just because we have no idea what they'll actually look like. So I'm high on the Bears. I think they're going to be really good. But if it comes down to how I'm powering right now, I think where they are is actually fair. The Falcons are the ones that I would probably put a little higher. Just maybe I don't know. I'm a Kirk Cousins guy. I like Kirk Cousins. I think they have a lot of good pieces. Last year, you can see kind of some strides they made. They just didn't have that quarterback to get them over the hump. But with them also, brand new head coach in Raheem Morris, who we know well. So I don't know. Now that I'm talking through it, I don't know if I'd really move them up. Would you?
Well, they have so many fun and interesting weapons that were just never really came together under Arthur Smith. So if they can competently move the ball with those guys, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, and a really good offensive line. Surprisingly, I didn't realize that until I took a look at it. But yeah, just kind of looping back on those Buccaneers, their big addition in the draft was Graham Barton. So be terrified. Be afraid. I think Florio is off on this one.
yeah. Their most known name is probably Bucky Irving, the running back they took out of Oregon in like the 4th round. So, so that's the one that I'm, but Todd Bowles, highly respected coach. Baker Mayfield obviously re-signed there, and they believe
new offensive coordinator there that a lot of people are pretty excited about.
Yeah, because they lost obviously Canales to a head coaching job. I'm trying to think who even is their OC.
Yeah, I've forgotten, but I do remember that like some people are really high on Tampa Bay's new DC.
Let's see, shall we?
Yeah, or OC, I should say. Oh,
wait,
no. I should have. Some people are excited. I wouldn't be excited for Liam Cohen, former offensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Rams.
So. That'll be interesting because he will be running the offense. Todd Bowles, defensive head coach. So it will be his show.
I think I was actually confused about that. I think people are excited about Dave Canales in his new position, not necessarily Liam Cohen.
Yeah, I totally forgot that's who the Buccaneers hired. Because obviously he left the Rams, went back to Kentucky or whatever. It's really interesting. I mean, happy for him. Great guy. Obviously the Rams were high on him, but and he was running the offense at Kentucky. But go ahead.
More reason to bump the Buccaneers down below the Rams for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. So that puts the Rams at least should be at 12. Put the Bucs past them. So, but anyway, we'll see. It's June. At this point, who cares? Let's see training camp. Let's see what happens training camp. Anything else you want to add on that?
No. I think these are always fun to talk about. I just can never tell if putting the Cowboys at 16 is like something to just get Cowboys fans all riled up, or you can never tell exactly what the meaning is behind all of these rankings. Yeah.
Well, and at this point, like we've talked to Trevor Sikkema, we've talked to all these guys at PFF, and they know it. We know it. Every analyst out there knows it's list season right now. It's all that their content is. It's creating these lists, creating engagement, creating outrage, if you will. And so, there's probably some gamesmanship in all of these of where they put some teams just knowing like, this is going to get a lot of chatter, happy or unhappy. So But I mean, let's end it with this, not the show, but in this segment. And Rams fans, obviously, you will comment. We appreciate the comment. I hopefully won't disagree with us too much. I think we said they are in that kind of 10 to 13 range to start the season. But seeing PFT typically fairly anti-Rams, I would say, or at least Rams fans base see him that way. And I would agree for the most part. I think he kind of leans a little bit, I don't want to say anti-Rams, but not very positive Rams. Will Rams fans see this and lash out, you think, that 13 is unfair? Or do you think they'll be like, even though the guy doesn't like us, like, yeah, this is a fair ranking?
Well, I'm curious to know how many fans out there think that this year's Rams team is up there in that upper echelon of, competing for the NFC West with the former NFC West champions, the 49ers. Mm-hmm. And is this a getting into the playoffs, any team can win the Super Bowl, but is this that kind of team where they're with this defense, are they ready to go all the way? Or, I guess, it's hard to phrase it, but, realistically, what are the rankings, for the NFC, for the league, in fans' minds? Because, some people will just start the season saying 17-0, we're going all the way.
Yeah. As every fan wants to do. I get it.
Yeah. It's your right. It's your right. You're a fan.
Yeah. I just think that too. So, but yeah, I think if you look at it in totality, 6th in the NFC seems like a fair starting point for now. Like they can prove to be better, but
unless winning the division, the highest they can get is number 5, right?
Yeah.
That's where the conversation really starts is can they challenge the 49ers, who are expected to win 11 or 12 games probably this season. So the Rams are expected to win 8.5. 8.5 is the over under. I think 11.5 is the over and under for the 49ers. So, as we see the season plays out and everything is what it is. But at this point, like, that's a tough road to hoe.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let me ask you this real quick. Cause it just came to mind, and it's relevant to the Rams, obviously the division rival. So came out just today. It's not like it's been some secret. It's been pretty known, but came out officially today that Brandon Ayuk, the receiver for the Niners, is unhappy with how the Niners have handled his contract situation. There's been trade talk for months now, dating even before the draft. I can't remember who he was like FaceTiming with just a few days ago, but talked about like they weren't talking to him right, or he was unhappy with them. There's been rumors by a lot of different outlets of him being linked to their teams. We did not necessarily an article, but we aggregated an article about, I can't remember who it was, but saying like the Chargers are an interesting fit because they need a true wide receiver one, blah, blah, blah. All this saga of Brandon Ayuk. Your thoughts on, do you think he gets happy, gets rewarded, remains a Niner? And then when it pertains to the Rams, how important is that? Because if we're talking about the Rams vying for the division, if it's either no Ayuk or an unhappy Ayuk, how much better does that bode for the Rams to contend for that spot?
I mean, they don't get better if they don't have Ayuk on the team. I mean, they drafted Ricky Pearsall, which is a really interesting prospect. A lot of people wanted to see him in horns. Didn't work out, but he's a very good receiver. And then that offense just loses one more weapon, but they've proved that they can make Juan Jennings look like a fantastic receiver. They can make I can't think of the guy's name. Kendrick Bourne, was their touchdown leader one year. So, it's Shanahan is, he's born out of the same offense that Sean McVay is, and they're electric and constantly changing and moving forward. So, I mean, all I can say is they don't get better, So, are the Rams Brandon Ayuk away from being the NFC West champions? I don't know. I can't say yes to that, but I don't want to say no to that either. So
yeah,
it's this time of year is tough to answer those questions, but I think, I mean, ultimately I think they'll get a deal done with him. This happened with Deebo Samuel a couple years ago and they made it work. And the question is always with guys like this was like, when they go to a different offense and maybe that head coach doesn't know exactly how to use them, like let's say like if Cooper Kupp went to a different offense if he was drafted by a different team. I don't think he's Cooper Kupp that we know him today. I think he would still be a really good player, but Sean McVay like restructured his whole offense because he was like, holy cow, we've got Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
And he was the first one to recognize his greatness and what he could do in the offense.
Yeah. Yeah. Clearly just based on his draft stock. So,
yeah.
And we've talked about that receivers are, the most dependent of any position. So, it's a curious situation. I agree. I don't think obviously if Ayuk is no longer with the Niners, that, that's going to be better for the Rams. You don't have to face him. But I think when you look at the matchup of Rams Niners, it's more about what the Rams offense can do to the Niners defense, because let's face it, let's just be completely honest here. Like, even without Ayuk, that Niners offense is probably much better than what this Rams defense is going to be. They need to just kind of hang on, hopefully maybe not let them score big plays and clock. And obviously we'll do previews and stuff way down the line. But when it comes down to this matchup, Rams Niners, it's going to be Rams offense versus Niners defense. And that's going to be the collective matchup. Because I think when you just look at the overhaul of the Niners offense is probably going to be substantially better than the Rams defense. Don't kill me, Rams fans. That's just look at the rosters. Like, come on.
Yeah, you gotta stop Christian McCaffrey first. That's job one. So
yeah. So, but anyway, just a Ram thought. Obviously, anytime we can bash the Niners at all, why not? So, I mean, the NFL has been lacking a true prima donna wide receiver for quite some time, and now you have two of them on the Niners, and Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. So.
Excellent point. Yeah.
The two prima donnas at the receiver position. So you could maybe argue Stephon Diggs is in there as well now with the Texans. But anywho, so we can do kind of quick on this one. But Sean McVay he was on the Green Lights podcast, right, and talked about his whole thoughts 2 years ago about retirement and how obviously he did not retire and thought it was a decision that he's obviously very happy with now and at peace with. I'll let you comment on it first because you kind of wrote about it. Just first, what did he really talk about in that light and why he does feel great and rejuvenated about being the head coach of the LA Rams right now?
Yeah, he's Jordan Rodriguez did a really fantastic kind of post-mortem on the 2022 season, and she kind of delved into just what emotional turmoil was brought up for Sean McVay. And you think about his career, just a success from day one, basically getting into the league, just rising to the top of the Washington organization, getting a head coaching job, as one of the youngest ever to do it, youngest in the modern era, certainly. And, just a winner. And then all of a sudden he faces all of this really hard, he said he was exposed. His insecurities and his shortcomings were all exposed. And that, when someone is so successful, so young, such a meteoric rise, when that happens, all those questions have got to come up. He goes into 2023, and these are his words, and obviously what Jordan wrote about him. And he comes into 2023 having done that, and then you just see this young, exciting team and a transformed offense, and he's back to his winning ways. And he was on that show, the Chris Long podcast, the Greenlight podcast, and he said that season rejuvenated him. He said it was his favorite coaching season of all time, even above the Super Bowl winning season, which is fantastic. That he's kind of rejuvenated. So I'll throw this question back at you, because you've always had this theory that the band was going to retire together. That McVay and Stafford and Donald and Kupp were all going to kind of go out at the same time. We've lost one of them, but they're still, how long do you think he's going to coach, I guess?
Yeah, it's great. Well, Donald threw a wrench in that for us. That my whole theory that the all four, the fearsome foursome, all kind of go out together. I still kind of thought, even with him deciding to come back and saying he was all in, I still kind of thought he'd basically write out his contract. And what did you off the top of my head? I should know this. 3 years left or so. It's in that like 2 to 4 year range. I thought he'd kind of write out his contract and then that would be that. And then retire at the end of that, especially after just having a kid. But after just hearing him talk, on the podcast and seeing him last year, seeing him in press conferences, I think as long as there is a contingency plan is in place post Matthew Stafford, which we have talked about a lot, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he does end up coaching quite a bit longer. Now, I don't think he'll ever be, as he has said many times, coaching into his 50s. Like, he's not going to be Bill Belichick at 71 still coaching or whatever. Or even Pete Carroll, who at 73 saying he still wants to coach. Like, it seems like he is still going to be a guy that's going to be done before that age of his life. But that doesn't mean he can't coach another 5, 6, 8 years or so. I just think as long as there's a plan in place and he's not, Stafford doesn't retire and all of a sudden he's left with there's going to be a little rebuild anytime you lose a franchise quarterback, but as long as they're not like have no plan at quarterback, whether it's through the draft, free agency, or someone already on the roster. So that is why I think we have, and I don't know if fans have got annoyed with it or just like the conversation, but that's why we've put so much onus in. What is the plan? Is Stetson Bennett the plan? We don't think so. I know there are fans that do think so. There are content creators I've seen that think so, which is fine. Everyone can think that. I don't think that's it yet. That can change, obviously. And if this year and next year they think Bennett has shown a lot of improvement and McVay and his offense thinks like, you know what, I can really win with this kid, then yeah, that's great. But if not, I think they need to have something in place. Otherwise, why would he? I don't want to say why would he want to keep going on after extend his contract, but you need to have some positive reinforcement of why he would be coming back in terms of what else he has out there at his disposal, right? Like he could get a TV job like that and probably make more than his salary now, have work way less hours, be at home with his wife and kid and all that stuff. So unless I know he loves coaching, I know he loves the game, but there's got to be like, okay, yeah, I know I can win with this team. Otherwise, like, why would he come back?
Yeah, for sure. The contract runs through the 2026 season.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So that actually coincides. What's that?
Same as Stafford.
Right. Yeah.
As a standard.
That contract actually coincides with a theory that I have, which is based on a theory that Bill Walsh had. Which his grandfather worked with Bill Walsh with the 49ers, but Bill Walsh wouldn't work for an organization at an executive level for more than 10 years. He thought that would create this stagnation within the organization, which would ultimately be bad. So he ended up handing off the keys of the 49ers to George Seifert, who ended up winning another 2 Super Bowls, but left that organization early. So 2026 would be the 10th season for coaching for Sean McVay. So that's my pet theory. That's it. It's grasping at straws for sure, but it's something, I guess. But
yeah. Could you? Oh, sorry. Finish your point, and then I'll jump in.
No, that's pretty much it. But I mean, it could be contingent on Stafford and what the game plan is after that, as you already talked about. I'm going to go so far as to say they haven't articulated a plan at all for following it up. I mean, Stetson Bennett has gone through his career so far not looking like it, missing a whole year of development for obvious reasons he should have taken away from the game. But that doesn't spell a great story so far. Jimmy Garoppolo is not it unless he's found he's on a 1-year contract. It's not going to happen. They didn't draft a guy this year like we wanted him to do. Maybe Spencer Rattler. I don't know. But
he's getting rave reviews in New Orleans, by the way.
Oh, is that right? That's great to hear.
Yeah.
I like when the guys I bet on do well. So, I think that I think that's the number one thing that they have to do, because you can't win in this league without a good quarterback. And beyond Stafford, however long he lasts, they don't have that in place. So I think that's job number one. Yeah. The networks can outbid a football team, and now the thing I'll say is he's been in this game for so long that how do you walk away from something that is so singular of an activity? That's why some of these guys are doing it into their, like, Bill Belichick could have retired as the greatest coach of all time several years ago, but he's still going. Well, not anymore, but he was still pushing the envelope.
If someone wanted him, he'd still be going.
Yeah. That's why Andy Reid's still going. He could have retired after the Super Bowl, and everybody would have regarded him as one of the best of all time. So, it's a hard career to replace, even if you're close to it. There's just nothing like it.
Yeah. Do you think, and this is what I was going to ask, like everyone pegs McVay to go into TV. I mean, I think he's already had offers to go into TV when he was contemplating, and that seems like such a natural place where he'd be so good because of, his gravitas and all that he brings and all his knowledge. He would honestly be fantastic. But could you see a world where he hits that end of contract, 10 years, and instead of doing the full theory of leaving the organization, steps aside as the coach and goes into the front office? Could you see that happening potentially, and being able to elevate one of his guys as the new head coach, and he takes on maybe not a GM role because I don't know if Les Snead wants to leave, but like a VP of football operations or something like that?
To me, I feel like that's a bit of a demotion. I mean, it's not technically, if you looked at the org chart, I'm sure that's probably, not that way, but I just think the head coach is the man within a football organization. So I don't think he would take a step away. I think he would have to get a certain amount of distance. I think he goes media, but I think what he does is he goes towards like a Manning cast thing where it's a bit looser, and he's a little like McVay's at his best when he drops that first kind of like layer of like veneer that he always has on. Like I was watching that interview, and McVay is just always McVay. I said that to you. He's just always on, but he dropped that veil a couple of times, and he's just he seems like a lot of fun,
Oh yeah. Well, that's why that one clip went so like viral when he was on, what was he on? He was on ESPN, the clip, and they're asking him like, and they're like, where Dan Orlovsky asked him like, Sean, where are you? Like, are you in like, and then that's when he like dropped the, when I was getting hired here, Kevin Demoff told me that we'd have this new facility, and here I am still in jail, 8 years, this remote location or whatever, or temporary location. Like you see his personality and you're like, yeah, this guy is gold. Like how much, like out of the 32 coaches in the NFL, like there's probably, I mean, if I really had them all in front of me, maybe I could think of more, but just off like the top of my head, I can think of like 6 who would be like, yeah, that dude would be sweet to hang out with and listen to for a long time. Now that can change, obviously, because if you had asked me 2 years ago about Belichick, I would have said never in a million years, but even outside of like X's and O's, but I want to like go have a beer with him. But after seeing him on like the roast of Tom Brady and stuff, I'm like, it kind of actually seems like a cool guy. So, I mean, that can change, but I think just from the surface level, what you see, like McVay is one of like 5 or 6 guys that seem like a sweet hang.
Yeah, that's our power ranking that we're going to come out with is the sweetest hang.
All right, it's June. We need more ideas. So we should do anyway. We should do coaching rankings. So Mark, remember this in your head. I mean, McVay is obviously top 5. If he isn't, people are silly. But we could do like top 12 coaches. We don't need to do all 32. That would take too long of a show. But yeah, I think best hangs would be a good one.
Yeah, we
do
just
that for QBs too. Top 5. Maybe we do coaches, quarterbacks, and GMs. We do all that in one show. Top 5 hangs.
Love it.
I mean, do you think the Rams hit all? I don't know about Stafford. That'd be the question mark. I think Les Snead and McVay for sure are in their respective categories hitting top 5.
Yes,
Les Snead might be 1.
I think so. Like I think
no cooler
Les Snead and I would get along really well if I was ever given the chance to talk to him. I think he and I would hit it off nicely.
I just love that like the draft house, like everyone's in like button ups looking nice, and he's in like flip flops and like a t-shirt. Like that's the GM. Like that's freaking sweet.
Did you see that? Did you watch that whole documentary, that Roku documentary?
I haven't watched the whole thing yet. No, I need to.
There's a part where Snead looks over to somebody and says, who's picking now? And McVay goes, it's right there, man.
It's right in front of you.
Yeah. I don't mean to be a jerk about it, but
I saw that clip. That was so great. They seem like they're just like best friends. I don't know. So,
yeah.
Anyways, we'll do that. If we already spoiled it. I mean, I think McVay and Snead are for sure in the top 5. So,
all right. So to close it out, McVay's, how long is he staying? What year does he retire?
Oh man!
If feet to the fire,
you're gonna get me in trouble with our listeners with this one.
Well, I'm already saying 2026 is
okay.
His last one.
Okay, so I'll say it like this, and this is a cop out answer, but
I'll say over under 2026. Does that make it better?
No.
No.
Not well, because for sure not under. I think for sure he makes it to 26. I think no matter what, he'll make it to the end of his contract. I think I'm just gonna. This isn't a great answer, but I'll stick to my guns. If there's a plan in place, so that means drafting a QB next year, because you don't want to go into 25 season without drafting another quarterback. So then you're basing your future quarterback on the 25 season, right? So if you do have a terrible season for some reason, oh, cool, we have a top 10 pick, you can take a quarterback, or you have a good season, you either have to trade up or whatever. So it's going to come down to based on the 2025 offseason, if he extends or if he hangs it up in 26. Because I think he loves the Rams, he loves LA, loves the organization, everything. I just can't see him extending if there's no plan. And these are smart. I mean, I'm sure they've talked about it. It's not like we're not here just calling Snead and McVay dumb, like they haven't planned on this. So I don't want anyone to think that. But
they haven't articulated the plan.
Yeah, there's just no sense of what that is. And maybe they just really like the 25 class. And they're like, you know what, we can wait one more year. And no matter where we end up, we like a guy there potentially. But the end of Stafford is coming. Not this year. He's going to be an MVP this year.
That's right.
Who is the oldest MVP? Is that Aaron Rodgers to ever win an MVP?
Gotta be. Because did Tom Brady win it towards the end of his career?
I don't think so.
So
Stafford's going to win MVP this year. But then based on whatever his contract is, I mean, he's only got 2 years left. We'll see if they extend him or just give him more guarantees. So they got to have something in place. And that's going to be contingent on McVay going past 26. You're holding firm at 26 no matter what?
Yeah, if I got to pick a number, that's the one I'll go with. You know.
Yeah. So I'll say this: if they draft or go get they won't go get a young, but if they draft a quarterback or go get, I'll just say it: if they go trade like for another mid vet, like 32-year-old vet, I could see McVay signing then another 5-6 year extension, and then that might be it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, I think if, like, let's say they go out and they somehow lock up Dak Prescott, I
just don't love Dak Prescott, but yeah, I see where you're getting at.
I'm just trying to think of a name that.
Yeah, I am. I was too when I was saying that. I was like, who's like a decent QB that a franchise might be willing to we'll move on.
I mean, you go back to 2020 and you say, hey, let's trade for Stafford. No, I bet everybody would just be like, no way. So yeah, but I think if they figure out the QB situation, I think he's in the long haul. I think a 6-year contract after that.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Here, wouldn't this be full circle? And we'll end with this. We just gave a lot of crap to the Buccaneers, right? For being ranked higher than the Rams. How old do you think Baker Mayfield is?
29?
29 on the nose. So in 26, he'll be 32, which is when the Rams traded for one Matthew Stafford. What if they bring the old Tampa Bayfield back for one last swung song? We know McVay loves him. He gets his extension, and then they ride off into the LA sunset together.
I don't like it at all. Yeah.
Well, with that, we can probably wrap it up. Anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay. Well, there you go. What do you guys think? Will McVay be here past his contract? If he is that a contingent on anything? Or you just think he loves coaching, loves the Rams so much that it doesn't matter, he'll just re-sign an extension? Which, let's be honest, a lot of coaches do, right? They just love coaching. They love the team. They want to keep coaching. They don't really care who their players are going to be until they're in that off season. Because coaches a lot more thinking about the here, now, and the next week, right? It's the GM and the front office is thinking about 3-4 years down the line. So, so a lot of coaches are just like, yeah, give me the contract extension. I want to be here. So you could think that. You could think along the lines of us. Let us know. Don't have to agree with us. We'd love to hear from you. So at RL Anderson, LAFB is Skinny on Twitter. At Ryan Dyrud, LAFB is myself, or at LAFB Network. Or obviously, if you're on YouTube, Rams LAFB YouTube, you can just comment below. Thank you all for hanging out. This is the Rams Skinny on the LAFB Network. For Skinny T, I'm Ryan Dyrud. Everyone have a great couple days. We'll be back end of the week for more Rams.
Bye.